A little bit.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's non-stop.
I turn it off completely. It's not hot.
I don't think you need the vent, you need a heater.
Do you record all of the board meetings?
Try to record the ones that the rocks aren't here for.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, hi. Hi there, how are you?
I've got actually two of them. I posted one. It's kind of a back channel of YouTube just so that they can see it. I can pull links down for anybody if anybody wants to just see it uncut.
Okay, good.
uncensored.
Great, thank you.
It is Barbara's attorney. Yes.
How are you?
You are?
Wonderful.
Nice to meet you.
My wife's sister.
Hello, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
I know a couple other people were planning on being here.
All right.
We got lost in the elevator.
Who else said planning to do it?
How you doing? Good to see you.
Planning.
Who?
Dora was planning.
Yeah.
They said don't rule them out. But we'll see how long we wait. Well, just go with the building. We dig a little deeper. Yeah. Well, I guess it's 6:05. We can start. Most of the stuff is pretty boilerplate in the beginning anyway. So it is 6:04, and we're going to have the meeting. And we do have the full board here. I've got the minutes from,
Oh, I'm sorry. Here you go.
these are the minutes, I think you've seen these from the last board meeting. We just need to approve them. So I have in my notes that George moved to approve them and Harry seconded. And anybody that doesn't have the minutes from the last board meeting, I can email them to you. I thought I'd already done that, but as you can see, most of it is filled out in advance. So we've agreed to read the minutes into the meeting.
David, can you
Here. Okay. Out of order, only 3 and 4. The mailboxes, everybody wants to get the mailbox situation straightened out. What we are doing, and the parts have been, or the box has been ordered. Here we go.
Hello, good evening.
Okay, we're just getting ready to adjourn.
Oh, no. Not without us.
Wow, this is
Come on,
good.
get to
Standing
get a
room
couple
only.
chairs. I can stand.
So can I.
I can say too, no, you sit.
Come on.
Okay,
Sit all
okay,
day.
well,
Come on.
Big Elson, and bring some more chairs.
Okay.
No big deal.
Yeah. Go get chairs.
You sit here, I'll stand.
No.
No, we've got enough chairs.
Absolutely. No.
Gunther, there's enough chairs in the
He'll
office.
sit here.
Might have to be
Yeah.
dusted off. They take one of these, because the other ones might be a little dusty. I've got light colored ones. I can take it.
No, I'm fine here. You need the space, right?
Thanks.
I'm good.
That should do it. Yeah, that's going to do it.
See, we got the blinking lights resolved. Blinking for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
There was never a problem. You
Those
just have to
don't come on
synchronize your
until the
blinking.
holiday.
Oh, I see.
We did start the meeting, but we only got to the part about approving the minutes from the last meeting. And if anybody needs them emailed, I will do that. There was, like this meeting, there's nothing that was, decisions taken that required a vote. So we're on the item 4, which we're going to go back to 3 because it's longer. But the mailbox, just to let you know what we're doing. It was an incredibly complicated undertaking to figure out what to do in the space we have and our needs, but we're replacing what's there. But then in addition, below that, it puts bulky package mailboxes. And the way that works is they're first come, first served. There's a key left in it. If you get a large package, then if it's the regular letter carrier, then they put the key in your mailbox so that you know that you've got a package in whichever of the bulky boxes. And otherwise, if it's a courier who doesn't have access to the keys to the individual mailboxes, then they'll have to leave it with Miguel.
I think each individual mailbox will have, whether it's FedEx or Amazon, no, they're not all together?
No, the lockers are especially for US Postal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Totally.
But, you know, if FedEx uses it, that's okay, but they have to leave the key with Miguel. Like I say, it's amazing how many different permutations of mailboxes we could have had, but what it didn't want is to have them stacked up and then people are not on the same level and people wonder why theirs is the bottom. So that's the story with that. Then the backing up to item 3 is the bulk of the conversation, probably, which is the construction status. Oh, shoot, excuse me, I need to get the, let's do the flow progress zone. Okay. Sorry, just wanted to make sure I had the correct attendance. I've got a long list here. People have noticed the smell in the lobby of, yes, it is feces you're smelling apparently. There's a pipe that was exposed when the sprinklers were being installed, and it's a waste line above this door. And oddly enough, it's cracked at the top, so it's not leaking liquids, but it is leaking odor. So I have the gift of I can't smell food very well, so I never noticed it, but stuck my head through the ceiling and I looked at it and I couldn't smell it. But fortunately, it's a simple repair. It's a piece of pipe this long, and on the ends it has rubber couplings, so real simple repair. Why it ever broke, maybe got dropped during construction or cracked. But anyway, that explains the smell that anybody's been seeing.
Fixed by when?
Fixed by when?
Probably next week.
Next week.
Because tomorrow we're planning to do the concrete, and that's what I think probably full day. So next week I should do that.
Doesn't require an expensive plumber to do the repair. You'd hope that the slab would have been poured by now for the new parking places, but it's supposed to be poured tomorrow.
Yeah, 7 o'clock supposed to be here. Yeah.
Okay. Finally got the permit Wednesday, or?
The last inspection was today.
You're right.
It passed. So we have the clearance to pour the concrete. So we're gonna do the area. We're gonna fill all the holes that we already have on the ground for the new lights. They have to be increased 6 inches of flooding, and then we're going to finish the half wall going down to the front, to the parking spaces, the garage, to the one side going down. That's part of the concrete tomorrow.
That'll take 30 days.
30 days.
Right.
But I think, in a week, we should be able to at least park.
We should be able to park
Park.
at the moment that the concrete is cured.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to wait for
Before
the...
No, we want to wait for 28 days, a month, just to put the tile, on top.
Oh, but then we have to wait another additional week for the tiles.
No, you
Right.
could probably
You're
park
gonna do the
after
tiles
a week,
after a
but
week.
then
A month.
after a month, you have to put the
Exactly.
tile.
It has to,
Okay, great.
It has to outgas as it cures,
Yeah.
so, but you can park on it.
Because I'm sure some of you are already planning some Christmas get-togethers here, and we're gonna need those parking spaces.
Yeah.
I promise we won't be noisy.
Are you sure?
Oh,
hear you.
We don't make any promises.
As Miguel said,
No promise.
so originally replacing these lights was gonna be just a repair, and not a permit thing. The AV and the engineer thought that that was no problem to do it as a repair. But then the building inspector saw that we were doing it when we had to expose one because of the slab for the new parking places, and he said we had to get a permit for it. And then as they were taken out this week, discovered that they're below the ground level by a few inches and they're flooding, so then they had to be raised. And then the wire is too short, so the wiring has to be replaced. So that's the story of the life of this building, is all kinds of unexpected consequences whenever we start doing something. So that's a cost overrun for the project, but it wasn't, originally part of the project. It was going to be an inexpensive replacement of the lamps. It didn't cost much money, and now it's going to cost a couple $1,000 at least.
Who's the contractor?
Davey.
Dave.
Since we're having a concrete pour anyway, it's no problem to add the extra concrete, no extra charge for it. But having to replace the wiring is the problem. So, yeah, one of the things, the main thing I wanted to be talking about is the overruns on this project, because electrical has, not surprisingly, surprised us. And the current thing that we have is we've gotten quotes for $15,000 to $20,000. $15,000 quote would be fine. It's not directly a result or part of the project, but it's something that when inspectors here looking at the fire sprinklers, it's going to make us fix it. I thought maybe we could put a bowl of fruit in the room and distract them, but that's probably not going to work. So there's $15,000 that we have to spend. And again, it's not part of the project, it's part of the building, but there's no money for that. So
What kind of electrical are you talking
Yeah,
about?
what are we fixing?
take a field trip,
Yeah, on the
pump room.
pump room, the domestic pump and the fire pump, we have a gutter.
Can you speak a little louder? I don't
All
really
the
hear well.
wires from the 12th floor to the 13th floor comes all the way down, and from that gutter it goes to the meter. That gutter detached from the ceiling and pull down most of the conduit from the apartments upstairs. So we have to raise it, break every floor, a hole, and see where it was detached and reattach it. So we have to cut the power to the entire building and to do it, in order to do that job.
And in truth, it could be probably at least attached to multiple floors at this point.
Exactly.
Even wherever it started, it's had a domino effect. So,
Are you gonna be attaching or replacing it?
No, attach it. Reattach it.
But you have to find where
You have to
the,
find it, because
yeah.
if you go right now, you can see like it's hanging. And it's not falling apart because the standpipe from the fire line is holding it.
but that's why it's gonna get noticed.
Yeah.
It does need to be repaired, but, we can't take it down the street. We're gonna have to deal with it.
Is there any money in reserves to pay for that?
Allocated for that,
So we're in a
but
straight
there are
line.
reserves.
I'm sorry?
There are reserves.
There are reserves. One thing that our auditor has recommended, and we're going to do, hopefully, after this all settles out, is we have too many line items in our reserves, and it's always, well, most of the expenses that come up are not line items in the reserve, electrical stuff like this. So, we had $30,000 to repair the parking garage, but there was no need to repair the parking garage. But we did.
So I guess as part of the explanation for that, I think that there's two different things. There's straight line reserves and there's pooled reserves. So pooled, and this is under the statute, so we're automatically start out as straight line reserves. There's so much reserved for each different category of depreciation. And there's a way for the board at some point to vote to pool pull the reserves so that you don't have stacks of money sitting.
Well, actually, our documents don't specify, and the state law only calls out 2 or 3 things. I mean, roofing and painting, I know for certain, maybe something else. We definitely want to have an elevator, but those are the only things that have to be line items in the reserve. But, you know, we've got the security cameras in the reserve, and, you know, a lot of small things when it should just be a lump sum in the contingency for stuff that comes up like this electrical.
So what induced the deficiency, the electrical?
45 years, just it's settled.
So you have
You know, there's no way of knowing, just like that pipe crack, you know,
do you have a report on that? So it's kind of, having a problem understanding exactly what this is all about.
after the meeting, it's just around the corner by the back entrance, and can take everybody there and look at it, and pictures worth 1,000 words. But it's just a line that goes all the way to the top. So again, that's not directly the project, but it has to be done before the project can get final permitting or an inspection.
Does that affect the elevator?
Yes, because this is the sprinklers. But I guess we can probably get the fire alarm done before the sprinklers or get the final inspection. Because that's the deal, is we can't get the final inspection from the county for the elevators until the fire alarm's completed.
But not the sprinklers. In other words, the elevators are not reliant on the completion of the sprinklers.
No, not 100% certain about how the tie-in would be with I believe that we'll be able to get the inspection on the alarm satisfactory before the inspection on the sprinklers, as long as everything that's tied in.
But what about this line that goes all the way up?
That's interfering with the sprinklers, only to the extent is when they come in to do the inspection, they're going to be in the pump room, they're going to be looking at the standpipe, and they're going to see these wires that are supported by the water main for the fire sprinklers, and they're going to say, fix that. Just like we had after Irma, when there was low water pressure, and the guy from the county went into our pump room and looked up and said, fix that. It was a valve that wasn't allowed to be there. By current code, it was okay when we built the building, and we weren't going to argue with them that it had to be changed. But they walk around, they look, and all of a sudden we've got another $5,000 spend on the building.
John, just to be clear, is that in any way that electrical line going to delay the opening of the second elevator?
No, don't think so.
Okay.
We have to get the alarm inspection, and I think we can get the alarm inspection, even though the alarm is tied in with the sprinklers. I think that what the alarm needs to connect to the sprinklers can be approved before the sprinklers, and in that case, we're fine. Still expect to get all the work done before Christmas, but we weren't expecting. We just got the third quote on this electrical work, and say the first one was 18 and 20,000, and then this one is 15,000. And it's the electricians that have done a lot of work in the building, so we trust them. They know the building. It wasn't just a low bidder off the street. And I want to do more research before we saved a couple $1,000 on somebody we didn't know, but these people are confident.
I think when we started the construction process, we had the budget for the construction, we did the special assessments and all that. And then we had, I think it was $30,000 that was our overrun.
29,400.
Something. We worked our way through that already, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a possibility that we will have to have a few $1,000 special assessment for these electrical overruns. And for new owners here, you can't thank me too much for pushing through this special assessment, or at least getting it out there before you all bought the building or your apartments, because I knew there was going to be a lot of turnover in the building, and I didn't want the people who had been involved in underfunding the reserve account to slip out for nothing. So that's why timing was what it was. So, on the other hand, you may have to pay a few $1,000 special assessments for these known unknowns that are now known. I think we've reached the limit, although before this came up with the lights, I thought we'd reached the limit of all the unexpected possibilities. But hopefully now we don't anticipate any more unexpected. There's not much left. So that's the news on the overrun there.
One quick question. I didn't hear Miguel at the beginning when he started explaining the electrical cable that we're talking about. It connects to what exactly?
All the apartments.
It's a trunk line going to all the apartments.
Yeah, and it goes into the meter room. But we'll take you there. You can see it after the meeting. It's just around by the outside the rear entrance, that door that nobody ever looks at.
This means working in each apartment, is that what you're saying?
Well,
The hole in the
Or probably on the south side guest room.
hole where, the wall?
On the
Floor.
I will suggest they do a binary division and not start at the 12th floor, because it might not be any problem on the higher floor. So I would suggest they start in the middle of the building, which would be the apartment 6, 7th floor. You're on the 13th floor, so I would suggest they start in the middle. And
Could you start in those buildings that are under renovation right now?
Well,
I volunteer mine.
What happened is when they start raising
Makes sense.
that ladder in the hydraulics, that's when they need to go to each apartment and see where that pipe comes out and attach it.
Where is it that they're going to look inside the apartment?
This is gonna be, all those wires is
Right.
behind the laundry room.
where your
Behind
circuit
the
breaker
Between-
box is.
Exactly, between the guest room on the south side
Uh-huh,
and
right.
the laundry.
On the lawn.
There are some apartments that they cannot break the laundry because they have counters and stuff, so it's better to do it on the other side, which is the south
Bedroom.
guest room.
Yeah, if they can
Right.
do it spot, it would be much better, because the ones that don't have anyone in it, it's less of a inconvenience.
Right.
And maybe you find, do they have to check every single one?
You said it may be.
I'm pretty sure,
Well, I would suggest they start like in the middle of the building, and if it's tight from there up, then they don't have to go higher.
So they wouldn't, that's
But,
right.
so I wouldn't start in your apartment because it's lower, so I would start in the middle of the building, open it, and see if that's disattached. If it's not attached in the middle of the building, then everybody below is gonna get opened, and then we'll have to go up
But
another
if it's
couple
attached,
floors.
let's say pick a floor in the middle,
In the
Right, the
sixth
sixth.
floor.
If it's attached in apartment 6, which is the 7th
Be a
floor,
lot taller.
then go down a couple floors, see
You
if
wouldn't
it's
have to
still
go up.
No, you wouldn't, no.
that means it's,
You feel how
Oh,
tall it
okay.
is.
rather than having to, go from top to bottom or bottom to top.
Absolutely.
You know, the other thing would be to start from the bottom and keep going until they find something, but, and there's a chance that not every apartment would have to be open, but,
Does
don't
the
count on it.
cost change if they find that the problem is pretty much between 2 or 3 apartments rather than the
Well,
whole?
if there's a problem, it's gonna be from floor X down.
Right, uh-huh. Oh, yes.
But that can be resolved in that particular floor all the way down.
Well, at that point, then they've been detached in all the floors below, so they're gonna have to be opened and re-secured.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
Okay.
but they
All the
won't have to
floors
be the
below.
ones on top, so
Right.
it would be a lot less than.
Right, so,
if
you know,
it were
start in the middle of
11.
the building and hope that the problem that's
And
below
would-
They're
there.
trying to
What-
make the cost of it, the financial cost of it. would be
We've
less
gotten a
if
price
we
of
got-
$15,000.
And would that cost estimate be fluctuate? I mean, if
No, I'm
if
gonna
the
s-
problem is resolved easily on the 6th floor, for example, the others don't have to.
Well, I'm gonna be speaking to them, and I've negotiated prices
Right.
after the fact with these people in the past.
Okay.
So, and they're reasonable,
It's
so if
like
it turns
this-
out,
It's likely the second floor.
Don't worry, it's gonna be on the 4th, and we're gonna
All right.
so, sorry about that news, but,
So give us some good news.
Got some cool weather here.
When are they gonna start the work on that wire?
Which one?
The electrical.
The one
wire.
on the electrical wire that's
We
dropped?
haven't told George that they're gonna do it. I just want to let
Okay.
everybody know tonight.
Well,
And
conceivably, you might not have to do it. I mean, if they don't point it out to you by the inspectors,
It's
don't
not
point it
safe.
out to you.
It's
It's a
not
fire
safe.
hazard.
I
Okay.
think,
All right.
It
yeah.
needs to be done, but
It needs to be done.
it really needs to be done right now. It's not something we can wait and
Yeah.
budget for next
Okay.
year. It's got to be done.
Right.
Yeah, there's a slim chance, but
Electricity is dangerous.
not very likely that the inspector's going to let it slide. But regardless, it's a fire hazard. It
Regardless,
needs to be
yeah.
fixed.
Now we have knowledge.
What's the name of the low bid for the contractor who's thinking of having to do that?
Electrical master.
So all we have to do is approve that you can pool the reserves and go for it, right?
Well, that requires
An assessment.
more official owner's vote. We've got money right now, and since this just came up, you need 2 weeks' notice for a special assessment.
But to go ahead with the work, what do you need?
We can go ahead with the work, but since I think now we have a handle on what all the unexpected expenses are going to be with this construction, we'll be able to come up with hopefully the final budget for any needed special assessment related to the project.
Okay, but the question that I have is, if you know if it's going to be in the neighborhood of $15,000, why can't you use the reserve money from that instead of an additional assessment?
The reserves have to be formally for what they're line item for.
But this is an emergency item that needs attention. It's a fire hazard.
Well, it has to be taken care of, and we have money in the checking account that we will use, and we have money from the lawsuit against the roofer, which, what was the net of that? $26,000. And
Have they paid that yet?
yes,
Yeah.
we collected all that money.
We already used, or probably used all of the money, for the cost overrun,
So
So I'm not sure you gave me an answer.
we can't just take money out of the reserves willy-nilly, which is why we want to change the reserves going forward so that we have a much larger general contingency line item in reserves rather than specifying for this or that, because most of the events, maybe not most of the dollars, but most of the events that require significant spends are things that are not specifically in a line item in the reserve.
So what do we need to do in order to allow that to happen? So that you can take them out of the line items
Right.
and pool them?
That we expected to do that at an owner's vote in January. Was hoping to by now have figured out what the final spend is going to be on all these projects, so that you can have just one, hopefully small, final special assessment to wrap everything up. This $15,000 just came up this week, so hopefully early next week be able to announce, give a 2-week notice of a meeting for to approve a small special assessment and know what's going to be sufficient and not have to do it again. And we have to either as an association or at least get approval from the auditor as far as the $26,000 that we got from the roofer that is just being pooled right now. But ultimately, I would assume that at least to the extent of what the reserves for the roof should be right now, to whatever dollar value that should be, we should take that $26,000 and have it in the reserve for the roof. And then whatever's left over, then I would think that we could spend on any expenses.
What is that roof due re-roofing?
The roof, the TPO roof should be good for 20 years.
Okay.
And we thought that some contractors had punctured it, but turned out they hadn't. But it's easy to repair. It's heat welded. Then there's without getting into too much of a side track, but then there's the copper roof, which is a massive thing, but it's okay. It's not a problem. And when it leaks onto the balcony of the apartment 12, not into the building. But it's not a problem for a leak into the building, and it's not leaking. Miguel and I have crawled through there in the rain, and it's hot but dry.
And
What
one
was
question, sorry, just to be clear, I thought I had heard Miguel say that the proceeds that were being collected from the lawsuit have been used towards the ongoing project, or?
Well, they're in the bank account and we've been spending them, but, you know, after this is done, we need to stand back and make certain things are in the right reserve account. If the auditor may say, fine, just spend that money from the lawsuit as you needed, because we have been putting money into the reserve for the roof, and we may have actually been putting more than we need, because it looks like there would be less to replace this roof off in the future.
Do you know, John, when veterans was originally paid, was it paid out of reserves, or was it paid out of the operating?
The original, it was a small special assessment.
Or was it okay? So it would go back probably into the operating.
That's where we put it. Because I didn't want to keep coming back to the trough over and over during this project.
When you guys did the special assessment last year, was 40,000 or was it 50?
50,000.
And we've have you collected all of that?
We're 20, the last 10,000.
Has not been collected yet?
Has not been requested yet.
Okay.
So
But that was passed. You guys passed it.
Yes.
So there's still 130,000, 112, 120,000.
20,000, right.
That can be requested.
Right.
It doesn't require another special assessment for that. Are you planning on doing something above and beyond that, or is it?
Well, I think because of these pretty substantial expenses with the electrical, we're going to need a special assessment. Like the $15,000, for this electrical problem, we don't have the money allocated for it. It's not part of this project, so it's not the sort of thing that it wasn't planned in the special assessment that it should have been. It just part of maintenance of the building, but the fact that we won't get the sprinklers approved until it's done. So it's related, but it's not related to the special assessment.
So just going forward, we're looking, either you or is looking at getting a request for 10,000 and then a request for something above and beyond that?
Yeah, hopefully by early next week, I will know
What the
that
numbers are.
final number will be. Because again, I don't want to keep coming back, but
That last $10,000 is due when? Do we have an
we
idea?
haven't announced it, but it'll be due probably, or required, probably in a month or less.
January, we're talking?
Before January, because we hope to have all the work done and mostly paid for by the end of the year, before Christmas. So, yeah, we need to have that $10,000 ready to go.
There goes Christmas.
Well,
We can leave it like that.
what else have I got here?
And there goes
It's
Chris.
1,000 per person, right? What, 10,000?
No, it is 10,000.
10,000.
Per, yeah,
A little less than-
we still owe 10,000.
10,000 per unit.
Yeah.
So,
For the special assessment, it was 50.
Sprinkler-matic, I spoke to the owner because we were a little annoyed that they started in the lobby and then they came out here and speaking to the foreman, and he said, well, they were missing a fitting, and I politely blew up because that's ridiculous, all this work, and they didn't have all the parts on site before they started slicing into the ceiling. But
And is that going to be shown like that? Can that be painted the same color? So it's not as obtrusive?
It's terrible.
It's gonna be painted to like coat, it's gonna be red.
It's going to be what?
Red?
are we
No.
certain about that?
No, no, no.
Black. I think it'd probably be painted black. And,
You could paint it the same color, gray, so you don't see it.
we'll find out, you can ask the
It
engineer.
looks ugly as
It also
sin.
will be,
But
after they
talk about-
reverse it, you put the drywall around here.
Yeah, you
Put
could
a
just,
drywall around it?
you could put a drywall, yeah, but drywall outside.
Well,
No,
this is what we have
you'll
here.
have to cover
Oh,
this.
okay, something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, one thing, we'll find out what we can get away with, and after the inspection, if, you know, the engineer says, you know, it should be painted black, well, we can, after we get the final inspection and we want to paint it the color of the building, they say better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission.
Right.
So if they tell us now we have to come back and paint it black or whatever, okay, we will.
Then we have to do something in terms of drywalling it.
And
If you
drywall.
wanna,
Well, it looks
Not
very
see
ugly.
it.
It looks
does.
ugly as hell.
Agreed, absolutely agreed, no question about it.
And then over there too.
Hasn't been a real enjoyable way to spend money on.
Well, we reviewed the whole pool.
What's that?
I said, oh, you reviewed the whole pool area, I wasn't here.
Yes,
Yeah,
expanding the
that'd be
pool,
nice.
it's gonna become an infinity pool over the
I want a
parking
lap
garage.
pool.
Very good.
And that thing is out, right?
That ugly thing?
That'll be next
Gotta
year.
go.
Yeah, we're not gonna bite off anymore if I can help it right
Not
now. We've got some other expenses that are
Eventually.
coming up. The generator, we still have money in the reserve for the generator, but it needs $1,700 a mouse with Miguel and Dave, and I think we can do that for less. And the main breaker on it needs to be replaced is $3,000, but it's just a toggle. And even though they say we can't epoxy it on there, I got a buddy of mine from engineering school who's aerospace engineer, works with composites, and he told me an epoxy to use, so hopefully at 50 cents of epoxy, they'll save $3,000. The things that we need to talk about for next year, we don't have to talk about them now, will be the emergency exit doors. They're the only, the ones at the end of the hall that go to the outside stairs, the ones that are very rusty, and they're not up to the wind code, so we can't get the windstorm deductible because that's our weak link. So we'd like to replace them next year.
Question. We're redoing part of our, and those doors are,
Oh, they're shot.
they're shot.
Mine is.
So,
It has
as long as if we pay for the doors that are up to the code,
Sorry.
I can't?
No, that was a snafu that got me onto the board in the first place, was the mains windows, and everybody freelanced on that. Previous president, who was a flipper, orchestrated that. He also orchestrated the $250 million loan that he was never going to be part of paying off. And you know, we have a bunch of windows that gave problems and all look different. So, but we want to do this, but it has to be done by the association all at once. But
It has to be all at once. I couldn't
Because we
pay
have-
the association to put a door on
Because-
that's not gonna leak.
we have to, it's the association's responsibility, and we haven't specified which doors we're going to use even. If we can get to the point of specifying which doors, but the association needs to be paying for it. But I think we've already got one vote to make this a high priority for the first of the year.
Number 2.
Well, it says you can see through them, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going
no,
like,
they-
it's an exterior door,
I
you
can't
can
even
see through
close
the
it.
damn thing.
Yeah,
So
you can see the light.
You know, it's,
Apparently,
I
there's
guess-
nobody here that's against replacing those.
you know, if it rains, I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I
water gets in
figured
the
I could
line.
write the association a check, and the association then changes the doors.
Unfortunately,
It has to be done all at one time, all uniform.
and owned by the association, so that was a mistake that was made before, and that was quite a snafu, and a gift that keeps on giving. And as far as the style, not on the agenda tonight, but it had been discussed to make it a opaque glass, so the light would come in, but
That would be great.
can't see through it. It's actually what I have for my front door of my house.
Oh, that would be
So-
great.
It would light
Because
up
our
definitely the hallway
Yeah.
the other day,
I mean,
which is kind of dark.
It's
you know.
gonna be-
It is,
It will be
yeah.
look, it's gonna be like the door that we have on the ground level.
Right.
I'm sorry?
Impact, the system like,
Impact.
you know, that single door that we have on the ground going to the parking garage,
Mhm.
similar to that. It have to be commercial.
Do you have pigeons coming down there?
No?
You don't have pigeons on your ninth floor?
I do.
Pigeons?
I
Sure
have
you do.
so many,
So
I have
many.
eggs. They're laying eggs.
Absolutely, they have nests up there.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Well, I have the
God.
lady that cleans, and she cleans it every week.
Yeah, but it's.
So it
has
never-
pigeons.
it's
Yeah.
never
Pigeons
dirty.
have- yeah, pigeons
I haven't
have-
moved in yet, maybe that's why. But I think that if they're impact
there have to be
doors,
impact, that's part of
then
it.
will we
Yeah.
get a
Right.
deduction on the insurance
Right,
as a
and
result?
Then we have the whole building.
That would be
Well,
great.
Does the whole building have hurricane impact windows?
That would be
Yes.
great,
Okay,
yes.
sorry, so,
They-
It's
yeah,
just the
it
door.
makes sense to have
The
that.
door. Yeah. Mhm.
Let's forward it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know,
Say that, that's true.
for
We
that
can all
matter,
go.
we
There's
can-
no guarantee that
we
we'll
can
get
roll
the
it into the
windows.
special
I think you
assessment.
should
Yes.
slowly do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, nobody's planning on selling, so if it turns out that we go too far on the special assessment, it'll just go into the checking account. But we don't have to have a budget proposed until the annual meeting on January 15th. And then whatever board is elected at that point, they can take the budget and what they want with it. But it would, hopefully we have all the numbers on any special assessment. So we'll get the price on the doors. Everybody here is comfortable with
I just have a question.
translucent glass?
You said that if you replace the doors, then you'll be able to get the windstorm deduction.
It'd
But
be a
then you
building.
said everybody else has different windows.
They're impact windows, but they weren't done at the same time by the same manufacturer.
But
If
they
you look
all-
outside, you'll see they all look different.
But they're all impact.
But they're all impact,
Okay,
right. So
that's
you
what's
would get the
important.
windstorm
For the
deduction.
building.
Yeah.
The windstorm
For the
insurance
building.
is the building's, the association's responsibility, it's not the individual apartment. So all the doors have to be done, or there's no
Deduction.
insurance benefit.
Well, I think we need to do this sooner before later.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
So is everybody
second.
okay with the translucent glass?
Yes.
Yes.
You mean the whole door?
With
No,
an aluminum
the-
frame.
It'll have a frame.
It'll have a frame, but
Yeah, like a door like this, but you
Opaque.
can't see through it. You
But
get the
it'll have
light in, but you
opaque.
can't see
Oh,
through
it'll
it.
be, oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
I like that idea because it
Because
does
of
give
the-
It's a
light.
dark,
Gives light to
dark
the-
hall, so you'll get light, but you won't be able to see pigeons, and they won't
Right.
be able to
And
see.
they can't
you.
peek on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Can it be white inside, the frames?
It can't be white on the outside. I don't know if they can make them white on the inside and gold on the outside, but it has to match
Yeah.
the bronze
Yeah,
on the outside.
which is okay.
It's,
It's okay for
well,
us.
it's
What
working.
can you see from inside?
Our windows.
It will be the same color of the windows that you have, the same frame.
And
I
we
don't
can
mind.
You know,
I don't mind whether it be bronze or, I mean, the windows are bronze.
Did you guys get any bids for any of that? Any of these
Whatever
things?
everybody
Yeah, I
decides.
was hoping it wasn't gonna be something I had to deal with, but we can get estimates on it. And we got estimates on replacing just as fire doors. It was like $1,500 a door.
yeah.
If we can get some pictures or something like that everybody can look at the next meeting, if we can do a special assessment meeting, that'll be the next time when most everybody's here. Maybe that way you guys can make a decision about what the style is and start figuring out what the cost is gonna be.
And I mean, it's gonna be pretty much like those doors right there, but the glass will be translucent, not clear.
It'll be okay.
So, well, I'm glad that everybody likes that idea. So, the, for the Western sprinklers. Yeah, we got a number of them. All right, well, I thought we would have a price. The sprinklers, spreading their rust. And been told by somebody in the business that it costs about $1,500, $2,000 to not filter, but the system put an additive so that we won't get the rust on the driveway and the building. The option is to get another meter, so it would be using fresh water. The reason for the second meter is because if it's domestic water, they charge you for the sewer. This would just be charging for the water. But my concern with that is, as everything else with this building, once you've got to get a permit, and then one thing turns up to another, and all of a sudden you spend $20,000. The classic one always for me is we're going to do a generator test, and before it was going to take 15 minutes, and before it was over, we spent $20,000 and had 2 permits.
I was in charge of 50 libraries for 22 years. I can tell you that that is totally unnecessary. Okay, I was in charge of the maintenance and the personnel of those 50 libraries.
Okay.
And I can tell you that a $12 can of rust remover is going to do it. You got to do it periodically every maybe 6 weeks or so, but you got to do it. And you're going to save all of this money and all this hassle with it.
Well,
just
get it out. We need to use
Where
it
do you
now.
put
You
the
just spray it on.
rust remover?
It's a spray. It's a spray. You spray it on there and it goes away immediately. That's what we did. Because the alternative was.
So it has to be cleaned frequently, in other words?
Yes, every 6 weeks or so, you're gonna,
Who's gonna
you have to do it.
What we do
But-
at home is you have those little plastic things that you
Uh-huh.
buy in Home Depot.
Right.
That you
Pump it,
pressurize,
uh-huh.
and you put the liquid in there, and you just spray the wall.
And
The
it goes
wall
away.
and the, because I'd hate to see that new
Now, on the
drywall
Regardless, there's
spoiled.
no budget for this, so we weren't going to be doing it anyway.
Good.
Right.
I think we ought to give it a try. And it doesn't work well on the walls, I will tell you that, because I know from experience it doesn't work well. But what we had was our maintenance guy come and touch a paint,
I do it in my house,
know.
and it works great.
What, the rust remover?
Yes.
the rust
On the
remover.
wall?
Yes,
Yeah.
it works
And the
great.
tile, it
I mean, what
works?
I saw
Okay.
out here, it can be removed in 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
So why go through the hassle? Now, if we're not successful,
Yeah.
then let's consider
Right,
the
right.
expensive option.
Yeah.
But I think we ought to give it a try.
But, I
Give
mean,
it a try.
it's going to involve
Yeah.
painting regularly. It's not the labor, it's the color, the shade of the paint's constantly fading.
So what you're talking about is the bottom, you know,
Right.
a little touch-up paint.
Well, anyway, we're not going to be spending any money on it right now.
Good, but at the same time,
Yes,
you
do
have
that,
the
yeah.
rust,
Yeah.
which can be removed.
Well, I say spec out what Miguel should get, and he'll get it.
Okay.
I think you already sent me the.
Yeah, I sent you the information, rust
Yeah.
remover.
Yeah.
It's a spray.
And the other
Try
thing,
it. Try it.
Sure, it's good. to
Section,
try.
see how it works?
Well, I'm gonna have, my plans is before December, so they finish the driveway, I'm gonna paint all the common areas of the building. So I usually do it before December, because I like to have the building ready for December. So I'm gonna paint all the common areas, I'm gonna do myself, I usually do it. Spend a week, but I do it. So I will buy that rust remover. After I paint, I will put it into a program,
Okay.
every 2 weeks.
And I'll give you the name of the one I use in my house, and you buy it from because it's called Magic. That's it.
I have what you said.
Yeah.
We can use Graciela what you use.
Yeah.
We tried it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not rocket science.
Now, the other, I don't know if we want to talk about this.
What's that?
These need, not pressure cleaning, these need to be spray painted.
Oh, no, don't paint them.
Okay. So much for that.
Sorry, I don't agree with you there. I know how paint is on driveways and things, and it is.
I mean, it's just, it looks ugly, and it's not, they're in good shape. The actual pavers are in good shape, but they are,
That's the humidity that
The humidity,
does
right.
that, but with pressure cleaning and a little bit of.
we've tried it, have you
I
tried
did
it?
it today, pressure cleans it.
Did you put a little bit of
The
chlorine?
entire patio area is
Chlorants.
Clorox will help.
we tried a lot of stuff.
Okay, let's
the
table
problem is
now.
they weren't sealed when they were put in, they weren't
This
sealed.
whole
That's
area
the
is
problem.
another another conversation.
It is,
Yeah,
this whole
this is
area
a-
is
this is
another,
a
I
separate
agree with
project.
you, 100%. This whole
We've
area
got
is
another-
another
we've got another
conversation.
one.
So later on, after we are out of debt,
This
we'll
needs-
talk about this.
This needs a Hurricane Irma.
It does. No, it needs redo,
Yeah.
It
period.
won't be that expensive.
No.
Yeah,
Small fee.
Yeah.
right.
The,
Start with the barbecue.
There you
Great.
go.
The first thing I noticed when I bought this
This is
is,
for me for the reason. I just noticed.
where's that tile come
Yeah,
from?
Miguel just mentioned that.
It's ugly.
The reason there are no lights in the garage is because the circuit that feeds that also feeds the lights around the pool, so that'll be a couple of days. You've already pulled the wires?
We already put the wires. Tomorrow they're gonna put the new ones, and they probably will have lights.
So we'll have the column lights.
Lights in the garage, but no only here.
Okay. But within a few days, we'll have the exterior lighting done.
When are the lights coming back? When did you
Well, by tomorrow in the garage.
Garage tomorrow and the column lamps
Yeah.
by next week early.
Mhm.
Okay. The only one last thing that I have to speak about, and then it's owner's concerns time, is as far as next year's budget that this board has to put together, and the next board can do with it as they please. But our legal fees are kind of nuts for a tiny building, and our legal fees are much more than I have in my business. It's got tens of thousands of customers selling inherently dangerous equipment. So it's crazy, and
Why are our legal fees so high?
we have some-
What attorneys are we,
We have some litigious owners.
and
So
we're paying for attorney's fees for,
some of it's
against owners?
recoverable, some we have recovered,
They should be recovered.
some is not recoverable, but my personal opinion is I just don't want to bury a $5,000 line item in the budget and people not know what's going on. So I would rather bill as it comes up or have special assessments as it comes up rather than have to put in a big number.
Is our
So
attorney present?
who,
No, our attorney is not present.
Oh, okay,
He doesn't charge for phone calls.
okay.
who are we paying attorney's fees to? Other than, the attorney for the association?
Well, that's
that
the only
is-
attorney we're paying.
Yeah, our attorney.
But when we have an attorney who sends us an email, I mean, most of them, it's not appropriate for me to answer, or when there's an issue that comes up that I'm getting nowhere and I have to have the attorney go to the next step, that's where the expenses come up. We're
Wow.
having action with one apartment right now.
Okay.
I'm sure we will collect most of those legal fees.
Is there any way that we can be in on why we're paying attorney's fees for owners that are filing litigation or that are litigating or that are litigious? I mean, I don't know, but I hate to spend money that could go towards the building on paying attorney's fees
Right.
because of an owner that may not be.
We can acquire them.
Is that number 3? I mean, who, what other, can we know who these people are?
Probably
I think
public
it's,
record.
Huh?
I think you need to say who it
Yes.
is. Because, I mean,
I think we
we
have
are
the
the
right,
ones
we're
that
paying the
have to
fees.
pay these
Or-
fees, so we need to
Yeah.
understand. I know
Why
one
are
of them
we-
is number 3.
Yeah, right, well, that's the
Yeah, I know
attorney.
that the board can have meetings discussing legal expenses that the association in general can be excluded from, but I don't think that the association, David,
Okay,
can this be discussed?
No,
We talk after.
it cannot be discussed.
no, not at all.
Dora,
It's not ethical.
if I may say so, and maybe I'm talking too much,
Uh-huh.
it's my first name.
Right.
But I think that the most important thing, number one, is to be confident and satisfied with the attorney you have. Because you're gonna have to,
Yes.
you're gonna
Oh,
need
of course, and I'm not,
counsel, you're gonna have.
in no way am I.
And unfortunately, you can't just stop people from proceeding with
Right.
actions. But if, you should have an attorney who knows what the hell he's doing in the the associations and so, and because they are a lot more efficient.
David Reiner knows Dennis Walden, and David thinks that Dennis,
He's a good guy, he's competent.
he's competent, and he doesn't charge for phone calls.
I was given the recommendation, I was given the recommendation for attorney to use, but then I saw that he sent a letter into the association, so I don't know if we'll use him.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to be very good.
With that, I'm done. Now it's anything that hasn't been discussed that anybody wants to discuss.
Well, I sent an email the other day about the ugly cardboard in the window, because that's like kind of having laundry or towels hanging over your balcony. When you walk by our building, we have Home Depot boxes in the ground floor. I think that should be removed. You know,
Why is that up there?
We don't have the blinds up while it's under construction.
Oh.
I don't know.
No, but
but
there
it
was
only goes
cardboard
halfway.
there.
Yeah, it
Uh-huh.
only goes halfway. It doesn't
Miguel,
come
do
from
you
the
know?
ceiling.
Yeah, those cardboard are there, and no reason that if I don't have them, I cannot see anything that happened with the cameras.
Maybe we can get something, target boxes or something.
You know,
Perhaps blinds or
no,
something
you
a
know,
little more accommodating.
Home Depot has paper that you just stick them
We
on,
already discussed it. I
and
discussed it with the
they're
board,
Yeah.
and
like
as soon as we
shades.
finish
Yeah.
all of this, it could be
Yeah.
by the next week, we will order the blinds and we will.
It's
Okay.
definitely
Yeah.
temporary. There's no.
Okay, okay, no,
No,
but
no.
it's been up for
Yeah.
quite a while, so I'm glad you mentioned it.
No, it's up.
Well,
I didn't
now we
find
got
it.
the construction in there.
And another
It
thing,
was there before the construction started, though.
another thing that looks,
There were
No,
vertical
we used
blinds.
to have vertical blind, but we needed to remove them when we put the new windows.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. And then after that, we never
Right.
had anything.
Once we started, all was good.
okay,
Well, yeah, but
So-
I think in 2 weeks we should have something.
okay, just in case though, you know, there
No, it's
are
not-
paper
definitely
blinds
definitely
Home
not
Depot
permanent.
It's gonna
sells,
be, it's roll
you
over.
know.
You
yeah. Well, another thing is, how many newspapers come into this lobby? Because I keep seeing piles of newspapers. Does everybody get their newspaper down in the lobby, or?
We don't get ours. He doesn't bring ours up. So
Uh-huh.
sometimes if we travel, they build up in the lobby.
Okay, okay, but,
No, those
I mean, now they
newspapers
need
have
to
been
be,
here while you're here. Miguel is not in his, it's not in his job description to bring the newspapers.
No,
up.
but he brings it to everybody else's apartment,
Well,
but
there
not to
are
ours.
reasons or other reasons we won't get into.
No, he doesn't bring it to my apartment.
no, well, I
pick
don't
up
live here yet.
my newspaper in
Every
on the
day.
ground floor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were delivered before.
Because I've seen piles of newspaper, and it just looks kind of,
Well, perhaps they can be
Messy when you
stored
walk
in the
in.
closet. I mean,
what
within-
closet?
The closet in here, in the lobby.
Uh-huh.
We have a
Well,
closet
how
there.
long? How long do you store newspapers?
Yeah.
I don't know for how long you store them, but I'm saying
Well, if
instead
the
of
people-
having the pile of newspapers,
It's only one.
If I'm gonna be out of town, I will let him know,
Mhm.
you know. But what I'm saying is, if you're in town, should you have, I mean, isn't it your responsibility to pick up your paper and take it to your unit?
yes.
If
That's
you're
what I
going
wanna
out of
know.
town, unless you plan on reading them when you come back, you can just have them suspended.
Can't you deliver them to everybody?
Well, basically, it's no part of
No.
my job. I do
That's
it
not-
one of the residents.
Well, I would like to understand one day what your, I would like to understand one day what your job is, and I ask for a job description, there's none existing. You don't have a job description here in this thing. I would
Well,
like-
I've seen him do a lot of things
Yeah,
around
I
here.
like to see the job description, whether or not they're all within this job, or
Well,
whether or not there is none existing. Maybe we can add, or we can go to add the newspaper delivery to his job description, would help.
But
I don't think I'm
why
gonna add
don't you
that.
pick up your
I don't think I'm gonna
newspaper?
vote
I
for
mean, you
that.
get them so you obviously
I think
interested.
everybody can
I see
pick up
the
their own
newspapers
newspaper.
We're
that
picking
you
them
get.
up when we are ready, when we have time to read in the morning. We travel a lot, we sometimes away for 2 weeks, we met you on the weekends, we have a few homes around the world, and so we travel a lot.
Why don't you, if I could suggest, because, you know, my neighbors across the street from my house, they're gone half the time, and whenever they leave, they suspend the delivery of the newspapers.
So we do.
It's too frequent, too unpredictable, it's not
These
possible.
people are gone every other week. They just came back from Buenos Aires, now they're at a medical
Yeah, we're
conference
gone
in
every
Texas.
week. We're gone every week.
Do it online, but I
then I suggest that the newspapers either, one, if they want to be saved, they're stored in the closet, not in the lobby, so that you don't have a stack of newspapers all the time.
Which
in the
looks
lobby.
ugly.
No, we'll pick them up, it's not a problem, we don't want to offend
No, but I'm
anybody.
saying if you're
Yeah.
not here.
But if you're not here.
If you're not
Yeah,
here,
I think the issue was, we're being sort of like set aside, and newspapers are delivered to other people, and they were to us,
I
but
don't
then when
think
we
that-
complained about management, then it stopped getting delivered, so then they piled up.
I think so.
I've
But
never,
we're
I've been here
happy-
only a year, but
we-
I
we
never had my
totally-
newspaper delivered.
We don't want to offend any of our
No.
neighbors, so we're happy to pick them up when we can.
Cool.
We don't want them dirtying up the lobby.
Okay.
The thing I had on my list from Martha was something about the garage door gate staying open when cars are leaving. It's only staying open for 20 seconds. Do you know what that was about?
Yeah, the time frame when you remotely open the garage,
Yeah.
if they open for 20 seconds, that gives you time to enter, through the garage. 20 seconds will close.
Okay.
If you press your remote control, if you do it with the app, and that's what I said to Martha, when you arrive, Martha, you don't need the other remote control, because I remember that program,
Yeah.
I personally did it, Dr. Rock, and the Mercedes is
Yeah.
already programmed. The station wagon that she sold,
Yeah.
she doesn't have it anymore. I gave him one control, and I put it inside her apartment.
Okay.
And I sent her an email saying, don't worry, because she got, she communicated with me. And I said, don't worry about the extra remote, because now we have another option to open and close the garage
Okay.
and with the phone. And I know that she probably would like that better than remote control.
I think that she was just asking, the question was, is there some arbitrary reason it was 20 seconds rather than 30 seconds or
Well,
10 seconds?
20 seconds, if I do it less,
Less is a problem.
that-
More might not be a
She wants
problem.
more, I think. She
Or
wants
more.
30.
Is it possible to do it for 30 seconds?
I can change it, but I think 30 seconds is the time that we've been using for many, many years, and the good thing about it is, if you hit it, remotely,
Yeah.
10 seconds pass and you start bringing your car forward, as soon as you pass the first photo cell, it will give you 20 seconds more.
Okay.
So we have two.
Okay.
So one at the beginning, one at the end. And if you press your remote control, as soon as the gate starts closing, give you another 20 seconds.
Does everybody think that's enough time? Is
I
everybody-
think
anybody-
it's
Yeah.
enough time.
Okay.
Well, the photocells sense if you're in a spot where the gate would hit your car, I
Mhm.
assume.
Right.
So as
So
long as
then
you're
it
blocking
gives you
a
an
photocell,
additional
Okay.
20.
Not gonna close on you.
I just mentioned that would raise the issue, see if anybody else was having a
No,
problem.
Yeah, that's right. You
Well,
gotta move
If it's a
on.
problem, it can be
But I
changed
think
within the limits.
I can put it 10 seconds, 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's.
What I'm trying to avoid is
Leave
to
it
have
20.
the door.
Because then it'd be a whole minute. Yeah.
It's been wide open for a year, so that's
So
another
if
10
you want
seconds
30
here and there.
seconds, 30 seconds.
Okay.
And the,
I just wanted to see if it was adjustable and it could be changed. If
Yeah.
in fact everybody found that 30 seconds would be better, let's obviously change it. But if right now everybody's comfortable with 20, then we'll do it.
10 seconds more.
Okay.
And the pedestrian entrance will get a lock, which will also be the same key
I
as
saw
the
that.
gate to the pool, but they have to be modified. The gates have to be modified so you can't just reach around because they can't be key locked from the inside because it's part of fire safety. So they have to be open, able to be open from the inside without a key.
They'll do some sort of a barrier.
A barrier so you can't reach
Yeah, so you can't
around.
reach in out.
Right.
And just to confirm what you said today, all of this, hallway, elevators, everything will be done by when? December?
We hope it'll be done before Christmas.
Before what?
We're expecting it to be done before Christmas. Its schedule has slipped, but I don't see too many places left for slippage. And they still have critical pending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you're lucky you're not here all the time. You see the mess, the back,
We had
the
another
roads,
mess,
and
we
the mess
don't feel
here
so
all
lucky
day
with the
long.
mess. When will the holes be fixed in the, around the sprinkler in the hall, or in every apartment?
They're
So
getting
That's been open for 6 weeks.
Yeah. We started closing all the apartments, as soon as they're ready to go out, I'll let you know. Because you're gonna be noticed like 3 days or 7 days notice, I will give you $17.
Who's doing the work on these?
Sprinkle matic.
Who?
Sprinkle
I
matic.
mean, they're replacing the drywall on the roof?
That's just access, because there's much more complicated sprinklers in there.
So they're doing that, Sprinkle Matter is
Well,
fixing that?
Davey, the contractor, will be fixing the ceiling.
Because see, the problem is Davey's doing that and then he's not doing that.
He's not doing anything there.
Okay.
He'll be fixing the ceiling, but not doing the
Right,
sprinklers.
but that's what we're saying, since he's fixing the ceiling, then he doesn't fix the other ceiling, and then that's a problem.
Let's do the apartments. Well, gonna do the lobby first, I assume, but then the apartments, I think he was saying it 1 day per apartment.
One day per
Yeah, mine will be the last. So there's no favoritism. What else? Anybody have in mind? So sorry about the news on the electrical, but not a surprise with this building. It's just an old building.
Yeah.
Hopefully next week, what was causing the smell will be repaired. That at least is, I think, a very simple repair.
So eventually, do you think we are gonna talk about the lobby? What's gonna happen with the lobby?
It's been bruited that somebody who has better taste than me will suggest some wallpaper.
Uh-huh.
Hello.
Hello.
When's the next meeting?
Officially, the
You
next
came to
meeting,
fill in
and
for us,
the
right?
announcement for the annual owners meeting should be going out tomorrow, and the plan would be on the 15th of January. So that's the one and only all hands on deck owners meeting.
Do people, we have to be present physically?
You don't have to be present. You can give a proxy for your
Okay.
vote for specific.
If you're not here.
Right.
As in the president.
You can, if there's
here.
anything to vote on, and other than for the board, and you submit your ballot for the board, you don't have to be here for that. You just submit it.
We're gonna have a vote on some special assessment?
Right.
If we have the special assessment,
The
try to get
door
that
and
done
the
in
electrical.
this year.
Okay,
So,
cool.
like I say, I hope to figure out what the number would be, and we'll try to include then since everybody
The
here at
doors.
least is in agreement to do those exit doors, and we'll roll that into whatever the
And
special.
the infinity.
And the infinity pool.
You know, I don't know, I'm just thinking because I know with the city of Coral Gables on those cables, it's got me worried that that may delay the sprinkler system, you know, approval or the elevator
then we have to
approval.
get the permit.
Can we kind of, I mean, do you
This
think
repairs
that might
can
be
be
a
done without
problem?
permit.
Yeah, I know, but, you know, those cables have fallen. I'm concerned that when they come to do the inspection, if they see that,
Well,
will they
that's
then?
That's what we want to get that done
Require-
before the inspection.
Right. Okay, that's
So-
what
That's
I.
why.
It definitely needs to be fixed,
So we don't
but
face another delay, you know.
we might
with
kick it
the-
down, into next year, but we have to do it now so that we can pass
Right.
that inspection.
Right.
So it's,
And then we have to wait for the inspectors when they decide to come, and then they come last minute. They don't always do it, that's the trouble, they don't always do it.
yeah,
Exactly.
and the county inspectors for
They have to
the
get
elevator have their
together
own
on
schedule.
schedules and.
Right.
So I guess we're finished. We can officially close the meeting, and then anybody who wants to walk around the corner and see what the electrical problem is.
Sure.
But officially, we have to
Thank you, John.
have the motion, the second.
Motion to
and the third.
adjourn.
So the meeting closed at 7:11. And Miguel will get the key and show us
Yeah.
anybody wants to see.